It's easy to forget that there's an honest and hard-working police force in the world of One Punch Man when headlines are famously filled with the sights of professional heroes instead of their vague associates, the boys in blue. However, what if I were to tell you that Saitama, the strongest hero of them all, not only joined up with the police for a brief moment, but also rebelled against the Hero Association in the process? Strap in, because we're about to explore the little known story where the strongest hero briefly became the strongest copper. The story opens with the unassuming Saitama taking one of his leisurely strolls throughout Zed City sometime after the defeat of Boros, placing this shortly after season 1 but before the events of season 2. However, he's interrupted by the appearance of two officers requesting a chat concerning some recent events around the area, to which Saitama asks the details of, yet the men decide to keep their cards close to their chest for now. The younger officer of the two then notices that, of all times, this casual baldy is taking a walk on a weekday, suggesting he's got more than enough time on his hands. Asking what his profession is, Saitama responds that he's a hero, which prompts the officer to bring him back to the station for questioning. It's there we find out from Chief Kuma, the man interviewing Saitama now, that the police have been following up on an eyewitness sketch of a criminal and why they've taken an interest in the wandering Saitama. Despite the sketched suspect looking like an aspiring sumo, the police's lack of leads pushed them to take a chance on bringing Saitama in as their man due to his plain look and smooth chrome dome, which matched the other features of the criminal in question, and seemed to only be further suspicious by the stain of blood on his hand. Noting that the blood is from a monster, since he's a hero who fights monsters, it doesn't do much to dissuade the officers' suspicions, more so as they believe he's not even a popular hero in the first place, since neither of them had heard of the name Saitama, which makes a whole lot of sense since the Hero Association titled him Caped Baldy instead. But after it's clear that the officer doesn't hold much appreciation for a hero or a part-time jobber, as he puts it in the case of unpopular heroes, we find out a little more on why our favorite Baldy is getting the bad cop worst cop routine right now. Finding the praise of the Hero Association tiresome, Chief Kuma, whose name reminds me of the big bear from Tekken every time I see it, notes that the police are as heroic as the heroes, yet aren't egotistical enough to boast about it. He claims heroes only want recognition and attention instead of naturally helping because it's the right thing to do. Going further, he then adds the police can do the work of heroes using guns. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't see any riot shields and tear gas when Boros' spaceship busted down from the atmosphere, but maybe the officers in Zed City just get down different compared to A City. Elsewhere, we found out that a Hero Association branch headed by McCoy catches wind of the supposed monster on the police's wanted list, and more interestingly, the monster seems to have a preference for preying on men in uniform, police uniform specifically. Now we can see why they're so upset about this. It's not nearly as fun as when pretty ladies have a preference for men in uniform. Since gaining the interest of this suspect means an officer is likely to either be maimed or killed, it's clear they're more desperate than ever to catch the perp. However, after getting nowhere with Saitama, Chief Kuma treats him to some food and inquires as to why Saitama became a hero, to which he responded since he thought it'd be cool. Kuma questions if he thinks being a cop isn't cool to Saitama, whose response can't help but remind me of the classic Twitter screenshot everyone's seen at some point in their life, and laments how people don't seem to care for the police's efforts anymore since they're far too interested in the shinier world of the hero industry. We then learn of Kuma's biggest driving factor in this case. One of his juniors, a kind, funny, and diligent young man, had every bone in his body broken by this monstrous suspect and was left for dead, using his final ounces of energy to provide a description of the attacker and to warn Kuma. Mentioning that his junior only became an officer since he failed the hero exam, Kuma wondered in disappointment if someone like Saitama was really the type of person his subordinate admired. And it's then we see that at the police station's desk, a delivery man arrives with food. Although the problem is, the food had already been delivered earlier. So who was this guy? Raid Plum, a disaster level demon monster, looking like testicles on steroids. This creature disguised his way into the station and then began causing havoc, taking his interest in lawmen to their next level by striking right at the police station itself. As it battles the station staff, we find out through a brief flashback that this monster was once a man who lost his status and family after being caught for drug possession, and soon monsterized through that fierce hatred he harbored for the police. When they say don't do drugs, they really mean it. Back to the present, and Raid Plum pummeled, or plummeled, hahaha, an officer into the the floor before resisting gunfire, it now being clear to everyone that the chubby sketch was in reference to this cop hunting killer. However, proving too much for everyone, Chief Kuma was called to the situation with Saitama close by to hear, although the latter was told to stay put. There, Kuma witnesses Raid Plum himself, the staff noting how guns are useless against such a creature and how everyone will die before backup from the headquarters can arrive. Begrudgingly, in the vein of saving lives, Kuma calls the Hero Association. McCoy takes the call, and instead of sending support immediately, he uses his authority and leverage to belittle and antagonize the desperate policeman in petty manner, taking this moment to twist the knife in how futile officers can be against monsters and how this will show the police's inadequacy. McCoy, what a bastard, eh? With time running out more and more, McCoy intends to send help, but only if Chief Kuma says the words, "I beg you," and only then will heroes arrive to save the day. And as every second counts, Kuma prepares to swallow his pride for the sake of his subordinates, starting the phrase which McCoy so cruelly wants to hear. Until, of course, Saitama swipes the phone from his hand and crushes it, along with whatever monthly phone plan he probably had, while delivering the simple, beautiful type of response he's known for in moments like this. Neither the heroes nor the police do their jobs because someone says, "I beg you," right? Condemning the other man on the line to Kuma as no hero, Saitama states he's here now, and he'll be repaying the officer for the food. After squaring up with the roided muscle plum, everyone's on edge until Saitama breaks the tension with a gesture and sound of a gun. Now, that might have seemed kind of random, but we'll come back to that at the end. The next scene shows a bunch of heroes preparing to storm in and take the incident by the reins, with the TV crew close by too. A quick thinking setup engineered by McCoy to use the media to show how much more suited heroes are to dealing with monsters than police could ever be. Although, before that sneaky plan of his could bloom, the police's station doors opened, and out walked a single unknown officer in uniform, tossing the body of the defeated monster out onto the floor with smoke emitting from it. The scene shocked everyone, most of all McCoy, to see that the police had defeated the enemy without the assistance of the heroes. And there, standing tall to represent the brave police force of Zed City, Saitama himself in the uniform of the law's finest. And without another word, Saitama walked back in before disappearing completely, unable to be found by either the media or even the station staff within. Chief Kuma mentally returned to his conversation where he claimed heroes only did things for attention, and yet here he had met one who had saved the day, represented the police force in the process, and didn't even stay to take credit for it as a hero or even an officer either. A man who did something good without wanting reward, recognition, or bragging rights. As Kuma put it to the man who asked him who Saitama was, a hero. And that was the brief moment that Saitama became a police officer and rebelled against the Hero Association in the process by denying the slimy McCoy his moment to uplift the Hero Association standing against the government. Shout out to Sitch and Second Guard for being the right kind of people the Hero Association needs. McCoy, not a trustworthy guy. Just to touch on that bang moment from earlier, it seemed a bit odd at first, but it was a callback to how Kuma said guns can defeat monsters, and despite their weapons failing them when they needed them most, Saitama fashioned his attack to resemble a gun, showing he valued the police's hard work and resolve and portrayed himself in the spirit of an officer for that moment. It was another subtle but sincere display of Saitama's compassionate nature. He showed the monster that in that very instant, he represented the fallen officers and the very ones he just stepped in to protect. And to everyone else who saw it, that today it would be Zed City Police Department's victory, not anyone else's. Thanks for watching. Comment your thoughts below, like and subscribe for more One Punch Man content, and be sure to check back in for the next one. See you soon.